Hello friends, this is Sakshi Mishra and today we are going to listen to the story about the infamous case in case law series KM Nanavati vs State of Maharashtra 1961. India that time became obsessed with the saga from the moment a decorated naval commander Kavas Maneksha Nanavati entered the bedroom of his British wife Salvia's lover Prem Ahuja and shot him dead and surrendered at a police station in Bombay. This is a landmark case in the criminal history of India as the case was held in 1959 by the Supreme Court of India, where a naval commander Kavas Maneksha Nanavati was accused of murder of Prem Ahuja, his wife's paramour. And the judgment of this case was passed on 24th November 1961. But it is still fresh in the minds of people. This case inspired several books and movies. There are some important legal points raised in this case, such as plea of general exception, the burden of proof, sudden provocation test, power of High Court in deciding the competence of reference made by session judge. Also, this case was the last case to be judged by jury trial in India. Facts of the case. In this case, accused KM Nanavati was second in command of Indian naval ship. He married Salvia in 1949 in the registry office at Portsmouth, England. They have 3 children by the marriage, a boy aged 9.5 years, a girl of 5.5 years, and another boy aged 3 years. Since the time of marriage, the couple was living at different places because of the nature of the job of Nanavati. After all, they finally shifted to Bombay, where they met Prem Ahuja and his sister through the Agnik, the common friend of Ahuja's in Nanavati. As a naval officer, Nanavati was frequently going away from Bombay in his ship, leaving his wife and children behind. In his absence of friendship developed between Salvia and Ahuja, which later on took the form of illicit relationship. On 18th April 1959, Nanavati returned from his ship. After returning, he on several occasions tried to affectionate with his wife, but she was behaving strangely to him. On 27th April 1959, Salvia told Nanavati about her relationship with Ahuja. Due to this, Nanavati angered and decided to settle that matter with Ahuja. After this, he drove his car to his ship, and from there he took a semi-automatic revolver and 6 cartridges and put them in the brown envelope on the false pretext. Then he went to Ahuja's office. Not finding him there, Nanavati went to his house and he entered into the bedroom of Ahuja and shot it from inside. Nanavati asked Ahuja that he would marry Salvia and care after his children. Ahuja replied, "Am I married to every woman I sleep with?" Then a fight occurs between Ahuja and Nanavati. In this, Nanavati shot Ahuja. After this, he surrendered himself to nearby police station. Case was filed against KM Nanavati. Issues of the case. Whether the accused shot Ahuja in grave and sudden provocation or whether it was premeditated murder. Whether SLP can be entertained without fulfilling the order under Article 142. Whether the pardoning power of governor and SLP move together. Arguments. Petitioner argument related to the case. The argument made from petitioner's side is that when Nanavati heard about his wife's relationship with Ahuja, he wanted to commit suicide. But Salvia claimed she could calm him down, and Salvia did not mention that whether Ahuja would marry her or not he plans to find out. So he wanted to take medicine for his sick dog and he left his wife and 2 of his children and 1 neighbor's child to cinema, as well as promised to pick up them when show would end. After this, he went to his ship and told the ship authorities that he wanted to pull revolvers and 6 bullets from the stores of spacecrafts. When driving alone to Ahmednagar at night, after receiving a revolver and 6 cartridges, he put them in brown envelope. He drove his car to Ahuja's office but could not find him there. He drove his car to Ahuja's residence, where the door opened by the Ahuja's servant, and Nanavati walked into Ahuja's bedroom, where he carried the envelope with a revolver, and he saw that Ahuja calling him dirty pig in the bedroom. He asked that he would marry Salvia and take care of his children. Ahuja replied that, "Am I married to every woman I sleep with?" The accused angered and threatened to kill this deceased by putting envelope and a revolver in a nearby cabinet. The deceased suddenly took the action and snatched the envelope. The accused said to take out their revolver and come back. There was a fight between the two, and in that fight, two shots accidentally failed and killed Ahuja. After that shooting, the defendant returned to his car and went to the nearby police station to surrender. Therefore, the accusations against the dead were made with serious and sudden provocations. So, even if you committed a crime, it was not a murder, but a culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Respondent's argument. The first argument made by respondent's lawyer is that Ahuja came out of the shower with a towel. When his body found in his bedroom, then his towel was still intact. It does not come loose or fall from deceased body and is extremely rare when a fight occurs. Also, after Salvia's confession, the accused calmed them down and gathered his family, brought them to cinema, left them to cinema, and then went to his store to take the revolver. This shows that he has enough time to calm down. The provocation is not serious or sudden, and that Nanavati planned the murder. Also, according to Ahuja's servant Anjani, who was at Ahuja's home at the time of incident, and he was a natural witness, a total of 4 shoots were made in succession. An entire incident took less than a minute. Excluding attacks, Nanavati came out of Ahuja's room and did not explain to his sister Mammy that his sister was in another room in this flat. The deputy director also testified that Nanavati did not feel confused by acknowledging that Nanavati had shot Ahuja and even correcting the spelling of his name in the police records. Judgment of the case. Jury trial. As the case first went to session court and where the jury trial was going on this case, in jury trial, Nanavati was held not guilty with the verdict of under section 304 of Indian Penal Code 1860. But the session judge was not satisfied with the decision of jury trial and considered that decision as perverse and unreasonable and referred this case to Division Bench of Bombay High Court under section 307 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Verdict of High Court. The High Court dismissed the verdict of the jury trial on the basis of following arguments made by the prosecutor. First, Salvia's confession or any specific incident in Ahuja's bedroom or both did not amount to grave and sudden provocation. Second, the onus of proving that it was an accident and not premeditated murder was on Nanavati. Third, the jury was not instructed that Nanavati's defense had to be proved to the extent that there is no reasonable doubt in the mind of a reasonable person, and the accused was held liable under section 302 of Indian Penal Code 1860. An appeal was made by the accused under the Supreme Court of India, and here is the verdict of Supreme Court. Verdict of Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that bearing the principles in mind, we have to look into the facts of this case. As per the defense case, the accused was thinking of future of his wife and children. It implies that he had regained his senses. The time lapse between the confession and murder was sufficient to regain his self-control. The mere fact that before the shooting the accused abused the deceased and abuse provoked an equally abusive reply could not conceivably be a provocation for murder. The Supreme Court in second issue dismissed the SLP, stating that he cannot claim it unless the surrenders under Article 142. Supreme Court also held that the application made to the governor for pardon and the SLP cannot proceed parallelly. If SLP is filed, then power of governor in such case shall be seized. Supreme Court held that the facts of the case don't attract the provisions of exception 1 to section 300 of the Indian Penal Code, and the accused is guilty for the murder under section 302 of the Indian Penal Code, and sentence of life imprisonment on accused passed by High Court is correct, and also held that there are no grounds for interference and the appeal was dismissed by Supreme Court. Conclusion of the case. This judgment created nationwide attention owing to the fact that the crime of adultery had resulted into murder not amounting to culpable homicide. There was also a high-rank officer of the Navy and owing to this fact and pitiful coverage by media, such crime was socially accepted. The burden of proof upon the prosecution was released by establishing the facts to utmost clarity. Also referring the case to higher judiciary and jury being erroneous on point of law was something that pointed out amount of corruption in judiciary, which resulted in abolition of jury system in succeeding criminal procedure amendment in 1973. Thank you so much.